Stampin' Friends. This is Lisa from Live and Let Stamp. And today I am doing a video for my newest card class. It is the Pop-Up Petals Card Class. It is so cute. So, of course, pop-up petals, we see flower stamps, and you have stamps that'll actually put the color in for you. So if you don't want to do the coloring, you can just stamp in the color, or you can do some coloring, and we'll be doing a little bit of both today. So these are pop-up petals because they, hang on, I'm trying to get to the video on my screen. There we go. So I can, there we go. Okay. They're called pop-up petals because there's a pop-up inside. Isn't that cute? Love these so much. And then this one has 3 pop-ups inside. And then this one with the beautiful rose has a pop-up this way. So rather than popping up and pulling up the decoration like so, the pop-up itself is like a box that your flowers are in. And this last one has 2 boxes, and this one has flying butterflies. So I'm going to show you how to make your butterflies fly. So this should be fun. So I'm going to get another card. I'm going to make a card base, and this is the one that has the 3 flowers in the center and then the big bouquet on the outside. Let me get my, this is, okay. I have some of this all cut out in advance. Let's pour those pieces out here. Okay, so let's go ahead and cut our card base. This is a traditional, or more traditional card base, so we're just going to cut it at 5.5 and then score it at 4 1/4. Move my blade so I can just do the scoring. And there we go. Let's go ahead and do our bone folder. That did really well. Okay, which way does it open easier? This way. So this is going to be our front. And for this one, I use the eyelet embossing folder. And I did it at 5 1/4 by 4, and then I cut it in half. So this is 5 1/4 by 2, and that's going to be the first thing that I put on with lots of adhesive, so there's no buckling around the edges. Hopefully you picked some of this adhesive up during the recent sale. And if you didn't know about the sale, I would love you to join my email list, because I always notify you of upcoming sales and promotions and card classes and things like that. And you can go to my blog and sign up for that newsletter, or I will put it in the description or comments afterward. So we're using that same DSP, that gorgeous Blackberry Bliss and those greens. And this piece needs to be 5 1/4. So the same width as our embossing. And we're going to cut this at 2 and a half. So there's going to be some overlap, which is fine. And then we're also going to need a piece of Blackberry Bliss to go across the card. And that piece is going to be 5 1/4 by, I'm sorry, it's going to be 5 1/4. I'm looking at my notes here, which I wrote really small. 5 1/4 by 1/2. So there's the 1/2 mark. And then I'll cut it at 5 1/4. All right, so this is going to go on like this, and then our strip will like cover where those two things join. So let's go ahead and add our DSP, Celebratory Sips. Whoa, too high. Okay. Right about there. Ah, that looks great. And then I'm going to use liquid glue on this. It's a smaller area, so I'm not too concerned with it getting too stiff from the glue when it dries. And I'm going to kind of use the lines on my grid paper. And measure with millimeters because it's so much easier. 3.2 and 3.2. Great. Okay. So next we have this Berry Burst. This is cut from Textured Notes. And this is, if you don't have the Textured Notes, this is approximately 3 3/4 by 2 1/4. And on that, I'm going to put this Textured Notes piece, and it is about 3 1/4 by 1 3/4. And I'm going to do this with liquid glue, because I want to make sure I get it as centered as I can. So I like being able to move it a little, which you can do with the liquid glue. Okay. And I also have a vase cut out. That's gonna go, whoop, not that one. This is the narrow neck space. And I have the flowers for the vase on the front. Now for this one, I also did this one with coloring. And because it's the same paper, I colored it the same way. With the Blackberry Bliss on the lines. This just reminded me of, you know, beautiful flowers. I'm not an expert on flowers. That's my husband's department. But I know a pretty flower when I see it. This reminds me of flowers that have like darker lines going through the petals, like shooting out from the center. And that's what it reminds me of, using this. And I wanted to bring in the color of the card base. So it's another reason why I chose the Blackberry Bliss. Okay, that seemed to go faster. And then I'm going to use the light blend for the Berry Burst. And I did try one using the dark after the light one, just, you know, add more depth, but it really didn't do much for it. So just the lighter one, filling in those petals. Okay. So I am recording this, doing this live on December 8th, 2025. You know, yesterday was Pearl Harbor Day, so, you know, a very sad day. When you think about what happened at Pearl Harbor and the lost lives. And then today is a sad day for Beatles fans, which I am a huge Beatles fan. That's why I call my business Live and Let Stamp, because I'm a huge fan of the Beatles and Paul McCartney, solo careers, George and Ringo, and of course John Lennon. And today is the anniversary of John Lennon's death, when he was murdered outside his apartment building in New York City. So just thinking of him, he was only 40, really, really tragic for the music world. When we visit New York City, we like to go up for theater once or twice a year, catch some Broadway shows. And often we'll go to Central Park and there's an area called Strawberry Fields, and there's a mosaic there that says Imagine, and they call that little section of Central Park Strawberry Fields, which is of course a song written by John. I mean, technically it lists he and Paul, but John was the one who actually wrote it. There's an actual place in Liverpool. We've visited there once. So we went to see Strawberry Fields. That was an awesome trip, especially for a Beatles fan. Okay, so I did my Old Olive leaves, dark on the lines, and then with on the interior lines of the leaves, and then the light Old Olive on the stems and to fill in the rest of the leaves, and then I use the Daffodil Delight blends to fill in the centers of the circle. All right, so let's go ahead and add here our rectangle that has the Berry Burst and white. And that's gonna go right about, straighten it up a bit, there. And then let's glue our, again, putting the glue on the front. Putting that on our vase. And then we're going to adhere the entire thing to our white rectangle. Now we can stamp our sentiment. Whoa. You make my life better just for being in it. What a nice thing to send to your friend, your spouse, your partner. You make my life better just by being in it. Okay, let me get my foam. I start out with everything so organized. I don't know what your craft table looks like when you're done, but if it's anything like mine, you totally get it when I can't find something. Okay. Looks like there's a little something on it right there. Let's try another one now. Oh yes, perfect. All right. This is from Nested Essentials. And if you don't have Nested Essentials, it is approximately 2 1/4 by 1 1/2. And I think it fits this perfectly. There we go. And this we're going to adhere with dimensionals, which are right here. Yay. I think we'll only need 2. And that'll go right here. I kind of like the design of this card because it has a nice sentiment, but you get to see the whole vase and flowers, which is really awesome. So this one, I got crazy and did 3 pop-ups. So you can see the middle one is using the big die and the ones on the side are using the small die. So you do have to run it through your die cutter twice. You can do the large one, which is here, and a small one, and then you just run it through again with another small one. So this area is about, this is 5/8 of an inch here. It's 2 1/16 to the beginning of the big one, and then 5/8 from the right side for the other little one to run through. So I'm just going to go ahead and fold that. I fold it first like this, and then I open it out. And so these in-between parts are going to go backwards, this one and this one. And we have score marks here, here, and here. And at first I was afraid it wouldn't work because the dies are different sizes, but it works perfectly. It doesn't matter. And I just want to make sure that when I fold this, those score marks are indeed where it folds. So, whoop. Okay. Okay. And I'll take my bone folder again, and I will get these right here, here, and here, nice and flat. These were already flattened, but those 3 need to be flat. And we open it up and we see our 3-part pop-up. So now we just need to pop it into our card. So I'm going to put adhesive here. I do use quite a bit because of the whole pop-up. I don't know if that's really necessary. Oh my goodness, what did I do? I didn't pull that. Am I out? Nope, not out. Okay, there we go. Now my adhesive is a little wide for this, so I'm just going to use a couple drops of liquid glue on these in-between spots. And now we're ready to put it inside. It's going to go like this, with the whole pop-up piece toward the center fold. And then I'm going to add the adhesive here. As quickly as I can. And a couple drops right here and here. And then I'm just going to close the card. Press it down, and our pop-up is ready to be decorated. So for this one, I did 4 of these. I'm going to call them tulips, just for sake. I know they're not tulips. They're not, leaves aren't close enough together. But so 4 of the small flowers, tulips. And then this one is using the rose stamp and die, and we're just going to cut off above that to place our little flower. So we're going to need that. We're going to need this center one, and then for the 2 sides I use kind of the bowl shape here. Again, this is all from Celebratory Sips. And then we're going to need flowers, our little tulips. Those are quick to color. Okay. And we're going to need, actually, looky there, I already have one done. And then this individual flower. And we're going to do them like this. So we're back to this stamp to put our color in our little tulip flower. And it's berry burst. Just test that out, make sure it's still looking good. It looks great. So I need to do 2 of those. Whoa. Oh, there it is. So of course, when I actually make these, I do this stamping and coloring before I die cut it. But I wanted to save the time and not have to die cut it afterwards. Okay, just cleaned my stamp on my Stampin' Chamois, and we're going to get out our Timid Tiger, which is one of the in colors. And we're going to do that on, we've already done one, so we just need to do it on that one. So let me see if the amount of ink looks good. Yep, looks good. And let's go ahead and get that stamped in. Perfect. Go ahead and clean that stamp. Okay. Now I just need to color. Actually, let's go ahead and stamp this. So this does have a stamp to color the leaves. So I'm going to use that with my old olive stamp pad. And you see that one is right here. Okay, so it just colors those leaves at the bottom of the rose stamp. So let me grab a block here. Let's see how this looks. Okay, looks pretty good. Hopefully I can get this my first try pretty much. Awesome! And we're not going to need that rose. So we're actually just going to cut the rose off like right about there. So we just have this little stem for our little round flower. So I just need to do a little coloring here with the old olive, the dark one first. Just gonna put that on the sepals and then put that in there, and the sepals and the line on this one. Just gives it a little depth. And then we're gonna go ahead and fill that in. And this side, finishing off the leaves. And our last one here. Okay, and then we're just gonna need this flower. So I'm just gonna do the center. Whoops, I want the pen one. Like I did all the other centers with the Daffodil Delight blends. And then I'm gonna use Berry Burst. I'm gonna do, actually, let's do, I'm gonna do the dark, like right where I was doing the Blackberry Bliss on the other cards, like right where those lines are. Now, because this is an alcohol marker, when I go over it with the light one, there should be a little bit of blending going on. So you'll still get that darkness on the inside, but it won't be like a line like I did on the others, where I just used a regular Stampin' Write marker to put in a Blackberry Bliss line. Can you imagine how happy your recipient would be to get this pop-up card? It would like totally surprise them. Okay, so we put in a Berry Burst and a Timid Tiger, small flowers in each one. So let's go ahead and put a little glue on the front. And they're going to overlap just a tad. So there's that one. And you can reverse them. I kept them the same direction. I mean, like Berry Burst and then Timid Tiger. Oops. Whoops. Let's try that again. Okay. Now I'm just gonna give those a little chance to dry there. And then we're gonna put this one in our skinny neck vase. And this is just gonna go right on it. You know what would be really pretty would be to take some of the Wink of Stella, like shine, glittery shine marker, and put on some of these flowers. So I put the large one in the center. So let me grab our card. So I'm kind of looking just to see where I need to put the adhesive. And basically it's like right here. Like I said, you don't want the adhesive to like bleed over, because then your card will get stuck together. Sorry, make sure you can see what I'm doing here. So there's that one. And then this needs it in a similar place, not all the way to the top, and kind of right in the middle. And that'll go there. So these kind of pop-up cards I used to make with my students. I taught 4th and 5th grade, and these were fun ways of doing like book projects or, you know, holiday times to make things. So I was already familiar with this kind of pop-up. The box, using it as a box though, I never ever thought of. So that's our next 2 cards, and that's really, really cool. Okay. I have some adhesive there getting on the back, but there it is. Voila. Oh, we have to put on some bling. We're not done yet. Okay. Our same dots. And we're going to use the ones that go so nicely with Blackberry Bliss. And we're just going to use 3 of them in a row. 1 there. And where'd it go? Right there. Ah. And let's do 1 there. And then I'm going to kind of use my grid lines. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1, 2, 3. So right on this grid line is right in the middle. So let's go ahead and put 1 there. Push them down. There we go. Now it's done. And you, of course, can write your sentiment there. So that's card number 2.